Hey, what's up, everybody? Chris here, and I wanted to give you my thoughts on the Asus ROG Xbox Ally. I think I got the name correct here, and this is not the Ally X. This is the standard ROG Ally, and just talk a little bit about my experience having had this a few weeks now, just a couple of weeks, I guess, at this point, and what my takeaways are. And I think trying to answer the question, should you get this? Who is this for? What do you need to know going into it? So I think the first thing to be clear about, and a lot of other videos have talked about this, but I just wanted to underscore it, is that this is not the Xbox console one-to-one transferred into a handheld device. It's not that at all. It is very much a Windows PC. That's what this is. It's a Windows PC. So this is for Xbox Windows games and Steam games, and I'm going to talk about that in just a second, and any other thing you can play on a PC, you can play on this with the Xbox form factor. And I will say, the controller setup here is amazing. This is, to me, the best part of this device. Now, when you compare it to the Ally X, the Xbox Ally X, if I'm getting the name correct again there, that is a much beefier, more powerful handheld PC. I would say this is comparable to sort of a mid-tier, I'm not going to say low to mid-tier, but kind of a mid-tier PC. And some games run great on it. Some games you really have to, turn the settings down a good bit to get it to run in a way that I think is acceptable for performance purposes. And so I'm just going to quickly show you kind of what my library looks like on this. So when you boot this up, you have to go through a ton of different updates, just like you would any Windows PC. But it boots into sort of an Xbox home screen experience. And when you get there, you can click on this library button to then get to your library of games. And so if you look at my library of games, you can see a number of things here. But there might be a trend that kind of stands out when you look at this. And the trend would be that the vast majority of the games that I've been playing on this since I purchased it are Steam games. Now, I want to be clear, I've never had a Steam Deck. I've heard a lot of great things about it. What I've understood performance-wise is that this is very comparable to the Steam Deck OLED, maybe slightly more powerful, but pretty much on par with that. Now, I have played a number of Xbox games on this, Windows PC Xbox games. The one that I've been playing most recently is Gears of War Reloaded, and it runs like a dream on this. Like, it runs way better than I actually thought that it might as a native game on this handheld device. The frame rate is great. Multiplayer works really well. It just looks really smooth and fluid, and it boots up without any issues. With a caveat, right? And this is where when you get into PC gaming, things get a little bit tricky. If you're used to the Xbox console, what you're used to is you click on a game with your controller, it loads up, and you're good to go. Here, in a lot of cases, there is some finagling required, and that's just PC gaming in general. So, for example, when I click on Gears of War, to get that going, I need to go into desktop mode on this PC device to get the screen proportions correct. If you leave it in Xbox home screen mode, the proportions are out of whack. The game is actually too zoomed in, so there is some finagling required. For example, also, I have on here, you may notice, Battlefield 6. Now, I have the Steam version of that. And I got this kind of as an experiment to see, a new AAA game, how will it run on this? And the answer is, it runs pretty solid at 30 FPS, but I actually toned the settings back to get it closer to 60 FPS. So I'm okay with a little bit lower resolution so I can have that 60 FPS experience. I will say the multiplayer in this game is not great. I don't necessarily notice anything with this device specifically, but it's very laggy, I've noticed, that kind of stuff. Whereas the single-player campaign actually runs pretty smoothly without too many hiccups, too many issues. But as an example, to get Battlefield 6 running on this, I went to open it and I kept getting some kind of DNS error or something like that. So I went to Reddit, started looking around. I had to go into one of the command folders, I guess it would be, for this game, delete a certain command in there, and then it would boot up, right? So, I mean, that's the kind of thing that you don't have to do with a handheld console, one-to-one device. Because this is a PC, you have to do that. So I'm just going to show you, if I hold down the Xbox button, right, if I want to go into Windows desktop mode, I can do that, right? And then I can go in. And again, you can imagine, with this type of a device, it can be kind of cumbersome. You can Bluetooth connect a keyboard and a mouse to it if you want to, but they've tried to design this so you can operate it with a touchscreen, but there are things that you have to use as workarounds. Like sometimes to put in numbers or letters, that kind of stuff, you might have to copy and paste it from one place to another because using the keyboard may not open up properly in certain things. So there's a lot of finagling in a lot of cases you have to go through to get this to work. So another quick example, I wanted to play Halo Infinite on here. I downloaded it. I had read that it ran really well. Same thing with Master Chief Collection. Mostly for the multiplayer. Obviously, I've beaten those campaigns And so I just wanted to have the multiplayer experience. I downloaded them from the Xbox Windows Store on this, and for the life of me, it would just get stuck on the loading screen. And then when I finally got that to get past that, for example, with the Master Chief Collection, I kept getting an error when I tried to get in a multiplayer match because it said something was wrong with signing into my Microsoft account. It just wouldn't work right. However, when I then go back to, and I'll just show you really quickly, I know you can't see this at the moment, but then when I go back to Xbox mode, and then I go to the cloud streaming option, I can open up, for example, Master Chief Collection, get into a multiplayer match really quickly, and there's no issues with that. It's weird, though, that natively I kept running into technical hiccups. I don't know why that is, but that is the sort of thing you have to navigate and have some patience with if you want to own this type of device and actually get the most out of it. So in a lot of cases, I've been able to get through that stuff. Some stuff is maybe want to pull my hair out with this, quite honestly. But what I will say, when I go back to my library of games, to just kind of show you really quickly what that looks like. Okay, so when I pull up my library of games, once again, you can see all of these just about are Steam games. Steam indie games run amazingly well on this. In fact, one game that's kind of my current obsession is this Ball Times Pit or Ball X Pit game, which released on Steam, I think, this past week. I have sunk way more hours into this over the past few days than I would care to admit. I mean, it's not like an obscene amount of hours, because obviously I've had work and things outside of work going on and all of that, but this is a really super addictive game, and I think those types of indie games run really well on this. And there are some larger, shooter types of games, third-person action games. For example, Dead Zone Rogue, you can see that on the menu here. That's a Steam game that runs super well too, without having to really fiddle with the settings very much. It's a first-person shooter, kind of a roguelike game where other players, if you set it up in such a way, can join your runs as you run through the different levels in this game. And it's really fun. I was playing it the other day. Some random person hopped in, and we had a great time going through, I think, the second level in this spacecraft where you've got all of these sort of robots and androids gone haywire that you're trying to get through. A lot of fun with that. But it's just weird to me that Steam seems to be a better experience in general on this than the actual Xbox full screen app that it was designed for. I mean, I guess it shouldn't be all that perplexing because Steam and PC kind of go hand in hand. But I've used this more for Steam games, and I've had a lot of fun. Megabonk, Hades 2. The Crew 2 actually runs pretty well on this too. I got that on Steam. That's a great racing game if you've never played that. So I've been doing some different races with that. Tweak the settings a little bit with that, but it does perform really well. So all in all, what I would say is I think this is a great supplement to an Xbox, but don't think that it's going to fully replace your Xbox. I guess that's the best way to describe it. It is still a gaming PC. It's a mid-tier gaming PC at that. So it does take some finagling to get it working properly. But when it does work, it's great. And it's funny because I also have the Logitech G Cloud. This is now my preferred way if I'm going to stream a game from Xbox. It's my preferred way to do it. And it does game streaming perfectly. Like, I really have had no issues with that. And I've actually been really impressed with how far Xbox cloud streaming has come. Mostly because of the form factor. That's why this is my preferred thing. I might actually sell my Logitech G Cloud. It's nice to have as a backup, I guess, but this is kind of my preferred way to do that at this point. So I just wanted to give my 2 cents on this. And I guess the question is it worth the price they're asking? This costs $5.99. It's basically a mobile PC. You can play PC games and Xbox games and cloud stream games on. Is it worth that? I think it just depends on how often you use it. I will say, while I'm sitting here after work, maybe watching football or basketball, and I want to get in a quick game of Ball X Pit or Ball Pit, whatever it's called, or Dead Zone, or even Dead by Daylight, which I've been playing with one of my kids, like, that's kind of nice to be able to pick that up and still watch the game, right? And it does run those types of games really well. So just my 2 cents. I've enjoyed it so far, but again, don't expect it to be a full console one-to-one experience. So if you have the Xbox ROG Ally, not the Ally X, if you have the ROG Ally, this model, I'm curious what your thoughts are as well. Let me know in the comments below. And as always, thanks so much for watching.